On today's show, it's round 2 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series from Hidden Valley Raceway in Darwin, featuring Combined Sedans, Hyundai Excels, and for the first time ever, a co-driver endurance in the TA2 Muscle Car Series. Next, we head to Zuera, Spain, where the FIA Karting Championship is kicking into high gear as the young guns vie for supremacy. This is Speedweek. Welcome viewers to the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. It's round number 2 and we're coming to you from Darwin, Northern Territory. We're at Hidden Valley Raceway, less than 15 minutes out of the city centre right here. And of course we've got the TA2 Muscle Cars about to make their way on track. We've seen some exciting racings already earlier in the day. Our B drivers have been out. Of course we've got the endurance coming your way later. There's $20,000 on the line in the Kings of the North battle that's happening this weekend for round number 2. So that is headlining the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Stephen White joining me here. Steve, great to be here in Darwin, Northern Territory. And what an exciting race we've got coming up.
Just amazing to be here at the Northern Territory. We've been welcomed so kindly and fondly by the Territory folk. But how amazing. You've got 20 TA2 cars there ready to do battle. Looking forward to the King of the North race later on today. Enduro, first time in the world. They're doing a 2-driver event, so fantastic for Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. And yeah, we just can't wait for a fantastic afternoon of racing.
It's not just the TA2 Muscle Cars framed by Hi-Tec Steel Frame. We've also got the Combined Sedans, the NT Hyundai Excels, and of course the HQ Cup, which is still underway, the Founders Cup, and we've still got one more race to come in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Founders Cup for HQ Holdens. The Crocodile Cup was run yesterday, a long-distance event, very similar to the TA2 event, and the Hyundai Excels for the Northern Territory. The Territory 250, that one, and Combined Sedans, which is a local category that the North Australian Motorsports Club have put on for us. So fantastic, along with drifting and a bit of everything else. What a fantastic event it's been so far, and it continues to be.
This is something a little bit different, the Combined Sedans and their final race of the day, 10 laps here on this public holiday Monday at Northern Territory, the Hidden Valley Raceway. I'm Captain Lachlan Mouse here alongside me. Let's have a look at how this is going to start.
So Tim Playford, who's been the dominant driver all weekend in his Mazda 808 improved production car, he'll start from pole position. His closest rival, Stephen Johnston, in the Commodore improved production car out of grid position number 2. And out of 3rd position will be Michael Ricketts in the Nissan Pulsar that has kept us entertained right throughout the weekend as we get the race underway. Excellent start from Playford, the Mazda 808 launching off the line beautifully, and he will have a commanding lead by the time they get down to turn number 1. Good start too from Rodney Jessup, that VT Commodore freshly built improved production car with the 5.7 litre LS1 engine, moving up into 3rd spot on the run down to turn 1.
Got the powerful jump there on Michael Ricketts, who's already got that back in the first corner. The nimble Nissan Pulsar in the Super TT Championship manages to get the 2 litre in front, and of course followed up by our Commodore Cup cars behind that. So we'll have to wait and see how everything goes. Bartlett unfortunately had mechanical issues in the previous race, but he's back out there now, starts at the back of the grid. He's made 1 position already, and it looks like Smith there's not going to give that up in the 35 car. He's going to try and go around the outside of the hairpin.
It's a real assortment of cars. For those of you tuning in, you're probably wondering why we've got such a big assortment of cars all on the racetrack together, but this is the NAMSC, the North Australian Motorsports Club Combined Sedan race. So we mix a variety of different classes together. So out on the track, you've got a mixture of improved production cars. You've got Commodore Cup cars, like the ones that used to run in the National Series back in the mid-90s through until 2012. And you've also got out there the Nissan Pulsar of Michael Ricketts, which we see running in the Australian Super TT Championship.
Yeah, great to have him come up all the way from Young in New South Wales. And of course, him and his family visiting the top end as part of this, not just coming up for the racing, but coming up to explore the Northern Territories. Jessup puts a bit of pressure on him as they go into turn 1. As the back wheel is off, and there is daylight under the back for Michael Ricketts. It's been doing it just about every corner on that Nissan Pulsar, built by Jordan Cox Motorsport as well. He's racing one of our TA2 muscle cars here this weekend, and we've seen him in TCR as well. So not only is very accomplished behind the wheel, but pretty handy on the spanners as well.
And he is quite the front-wheel drive guru, Jordan Cox. He became famous not just here in Australia, but all around the world at Bathurst a few years ago when we saw him making impossible overtaking manoeuvres over the top of Mount Panorama in a front-wheel drive Honda Civic. And he has set up Michael Ricketts' car absolutely beautifully this weekend. It has impressed us right throughout the weekend, not just in terms of its nimble handling through the corners, but also its straight line speed. It hardly gives away anything to the bigger and more powerful V8s down this 1.1 kilometre main straight at Hidden Valley.
And look how close he is to Johnson now, fighting for second position. I don't know, Johnson's had plenty of power all weekend as Ricketts pulls out alongside. He can't get up, and Johnson now winds up the big V8, and look at him start to stretch the legs as he goes down the main straight. 1.1 kilometres here at Hidden Valley, and now look at the gap. I'm sure it's not going to be long though. Ricketts will close it up in the other sections of our racetrack every time we've got a turn. We see now in the background, that's Lingy and the number 14 coming through on Gary Dempsey and the Commodore Cup as they go side by side to turn number 1. Fighting it out for position number 5 at the moment. Dempsey's not going to give it up though, because as they come out of this turn number 1, it now goes to a right-hander and he gets himself an advantage and he holds on to that position.
A cracking battle between a couple of passionate Northern Territory racers. Both of these gentlemen have put a huge amount of effort into getting this race meeting underway this weekend as Ling switches back to the inside for turn number 5. Dempsey running right out across the exit ripple strip, but he will be on the inside for the next left-hander at turn number 6. So great racing room, great respect being shown between these two drivers who are great friends off the track.
Well, Gary Dempsey got a couple of cars here this weekend. The top end electrical entries. They've also got Rossi Johnson running in the Inti Hyundai Excels. So his team very, very busy, as well as we see David Ling not only in this, but the HQs this weekend. Even a spot of sprint car racing it was on Saturday night as well. So he's been a very busy man, and he's sorted out a fair bit of fluid, I'd say, this weekend here in the hot conditions in Darwin, but they're very, very used to it. Of course, David Ling goes and competes in his HQ around the nation, not just here in the Northern Territory, but he leaves the Commodore Cup car here and does plenty of racing at this great circuit, a local here from the Darwin region. Here we go down the main straight. You see Johnson opens up that gap on Ricketts, but it's not as big as last time, I don't reckon, from my eyesight. I think he's just catching a little bit more, and see if he can close it up enough. He needs to get that position back through this back half of the track.
The advantage that Ricketts will have, given the hot conditions that we've got here in Darwin this weekend, is that because he's in a lighter car that's going to look after its tyres and brakes a bit more efficiently than the bigger, heavier V8 Commodore of Stephen Johnston. So as this race progresses, I reckon that Ricketts will have the advantage as we see a bit of a brake lock up there into turn number 6. But this is the section of the circuit which is very much what you would describe as pulsar territory. The quick direction changes through turns 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. This is where the pulsar is going to come into its own and really put pressure on the Commodore.
There was a rare mistake there from Ricketts, and we'll see how he goes through this back section, the last few corners before they head onto the main straight. You can see him close it up. He doesn't have to get through the gears. He can hold it down. Accelerators to the floor as we turn around. Turn 14, they get the run onto the main straight, but Johnson, if he can't get in front of him there, you know that he's going to be able to stretch the legs as the safety car has been deployed out here on track. So we are going yellow on track here in our Combined Sedans racing. All right, now coming out of safety car, final lap now for our Combined Sedans in their race here at Hidden Valley Raceway. And you can see Playford opens up that gap already in his own way. Ricketts down the inside of Johnson. Doesn't look like he's going to move up enough to get it done though. He's going to have to fight, but look at him go up alongside, pulls in. Johnson's going to be on the inside run though as they come out of turn number 2. Can he get the run into 3? Maybe. Playford's already opened up the gap. Ricketts closes it down, and look at that. Lockie, how close was that for Ricketts?
That was brave from Michael Ricketts. He sent it down the inside. He managed to get the overlap at turn number 1 and then using the more nimble handling of the pulsar to his advantage through turns 2, 3 and 4. And now what he has to do is push really hard around this back part of the circuit to make sure that he's got enough of an advantage over that Commodore that it's not just going to blast past him again when they get back to the main straight. So excellent restart from Michael Ricketts. Gets up into second position. Johnston back to third position. And it looks like David Ling has relieved Gary Dempsey of what will be the highest placed position in terms of the Commodore battle. Ricketts is not done yet. He's closed right onto the back of Tim Flavor coming out of the last corner. Look at this. It's going to be a drag race between the Nissan Pulsar and the Mazda 808 in the run to the finish line. The turbocharged grunt of the Mazda will see Tim Flavor take the win, but a bit of a nervous moment there for Tim, with Michael Ricketts going into attack mode on the final lap after that safety car restart.
Oh, and look, there was just 0.4 of a second between Ricketts and Johnson as they crossed the finish line. How close was that? Then it goes back to David Ling, Gary Dempsey, Steve Smith and Evan Bartlett will round out our 7. Unfortunately, Jessup, Roots and Cowie will not finish the race here in the combined sedans.
Tim Flavor, though, dominant weekend for him in the NT combined sedans aboard that Mazda 808. Like I said, it started life as a road-registered Mazda RX-3 race car with a rotary engine, but then after Tim Clayford purchased it, he installed the turbocharged 1.8 litre Mazda engine. There we go, 9 tenths of a second, the official margin from Clayford back to Ricketts at the finish line. Johnston home for third position. David Ling wins the Commodore Cup class ahead of Gary Dempsey, back to Shane Smith. And good to see the West Australian Evan Bartlett, who's come all the way up from Perth to participate this weekend, getting his Falcon across the line 7th after some mechanical problems in the earlier race.
And our winners down there in pit lane now with Stephen.
Thank you, Matty. We've got third place here in the combined sedans, Stephen Johnston. Steve, how was that race for you?
A little bit challenging, just chasing gremlins and chasing the little Coxon wheel in front of me. So, yeah, a few fuel issues and just not there today. So, unfortunately, Michael's done really well, and congratulations to him and Tim. So, not for me today.
No worries. And as a local, fantastic to be racing in the Super Series.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hope you guys can come back.
Back to you guys. Back to you, Matty.
We're going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen. Straight after that, our NT Hyundai Excel Cup finals. Welcome back to the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Now, final round now for the NT Hyundai Excel. 16 laps, Lockie. And look how it's going to start.
So these are the two drivers who've been battling it out all weekend on the front row. The local boys, Zach Hannon and Liam Hall, who's all the way up from Victoria. Then we go back to Tyson Mattiazzo, who's been having some good battles with Lachlan Son. Time with Sheeny, he's travelled from interstate as well. And then non-one with Matthew Powell. Dakota Masters, Samantha Hoskin, Rossi Johnson. That is your top 10 in terms of the starting positions for this race. We're ready for a race start here. The final race of the weekend for the NT Excels. They put on some great entertainment for us right throughout the weekend here at Hidden Valley, and this is their final race.
A huge 16 laps as they get underway, and it looks like Hannon might get the run on the inside. The core staff, number 70, on the outside, the 49 of Liam Hall. You know you've got a good run on the inside there. A big advantage as we look in the background there, and it looks like we've got a big move coming. Just trying to see the number there.
Rossi Johnson.
Rossi Johnson, yes, driving the Toyota 86 Series this year, the top-end electrical car. And look at the moves he's made. He's gone right up in the positions. Look at that, overtaken 4 cars already from rear of the field.
So much confidence from Rossi Johnson right around the outside through turn 1. He had to start a bit further back because the grid positions for this race are determined based on points for the weekend, and he had a DNF a bit earlier on, but there he is already battling it out with Tyler Cheney heading up through turn number 5. We see a couple of other drivers engaged in some combat a bit further back in the pack, including Robert Holloway and Samantha Hoskin.
So still plenty going on throughout the field here of the NT Hyundai Excels, but still out in front, Hannon. We'll have a look back to Rossi Johnson. Oh no, there's contact made there. A bit of movement from Noel Wallace. I'm not quite sure if they made contact from the angle we saw, but whether he just got up in that ripple strip. But exciting things, they are pushing really hard in the Excels. 16 laps, so that's what they got to remember. We are only on the first lap. We don't need to risk it too much.
It's actually the shortest race for the Excels this weekend. We had a couple of 24-lap races for these cars yesterday and a 22-lap race for the Excels this morning. But the two drivers who've been battling it out all weekend, there they are at the front of the field, Zach Hannon and Liam Hall. It's actually the best start that we've seen from Zach Hannon so far this weekend. The starts have probably been his biggest weakness, you would have to say, because he's actually lost the lead to Liam Hall and had to fight back. But here's a change in third position down the main straight. Tyson Mahianso on the inside of Lachlan Son, and it's Mahianso who will make the move through there.
Yeah, he gets that done under brace. You see the back wheels just coming off the ground there. So Son, we'll see if he can try and recover through this back section of the grid. They're still too wide, though, coming out of turn number 1. These races are really putting a show on for the fans here at Hidden Valley Raceway this weekend in Northern Territory. I love the fact we're only 15 minutes out of the city centre for racing, so you can go and enjoy everything there is to do with the Northern Territory, as well as come down and watch the racing on a great weekend like the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. You can see now a little bit of a gap just opening up there as Mediazzo will just pull away there. And the V8 race experience Hyundai Excel. In the background though, it looks like Rossi Johnson. He's made a heap of positions now, already up into 5th place.
Rossi Johnson, a very talented steerer, and we've seen him competing at a national level in the Toyota 86 Racing Series the last couple of seasons as well. So he's certainly got experience when it comes to racing in one-make series. And this weekend, Gary Dempsey invited Rossi Johnson to have a drive in one of his Excels, and he's been doing a great job, as we would expect. A bit of a wide moment there for Liam Hall, dropping the right wheels out over the exit ripple strip coming out of the 14th and final corner. That'll just cost him a bit of momentum on the main straight, and you can see that the margin has opened up between Hannon and Hall. It's now almost a second as they start lap number 3.
It's only 5 horsepower can make a massive difference in these cars. Very stock as the back wheel is off the ground. We're seeing a whole heap of daylight there for our second place there of Lockie Hall. He's pushing that car hard, and we'll wait and see whether he can catch him through this section of the racetrack. I don't think he's got much on Zach Hannon at the moment, as Hannon can just keep his cool in the 16-lap race like you alluded to before. There's been many more laps, 24-lap race earlier in the weekend, so they'll be very conditioned to the heat today. It's been a little bit cooler than it has been over the weekend, so hopefully they'll be doing very comfortable in the car, I suppose. More comfortable than what they were yesterday. It's been extremely hot. Oh, is that Trump come out of here? He can't take too much advantage of that one. The background, Mariazzo is just holding on. Sometimes you've got to think of some of these drivers. Now they've found their position. We've had the start. They've gone 2 and 3 wide coming into turn number 1. A safety car for one of them could be a big difference in this race. Rossi Johnson just coming through in the background, the top end electrical Hyundai. Now they've set the pace and they've sort of wound these cars up. We're not seeing them gain as much as probably what we would have in the first couple of laps either.
What we have seen as well is that a lot of young drivers are using this category as a stepping stone from go-karts into circuit racing. It's a category that has really exploded in popularity in pretty much every Australian state and territory. It started back in 2013, so 10 years ago now, the Excel Series, and there are literally hundreds and hundreds of these cars racing all over Australia. We had them in our first round of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series at Winton. That was a round of the Victorian Excel Series. This weekend it's a round of the Northern Territory Excel Racing Series. In our next round at Queensland Raceway, we're going to have the inaugural round of the Excel Racing National Series. So we'll be seeing some of the top Excel drivers from all over Australia travelling to Queensland Raceway for the opening round. The series will also travel to Sydney Motorsport Park and then finish up at our final round at Calder Park. We just saw there, that was Dakota Masters in car number 17, making a move up the inside of Elena's Vaults for what will be position number 9. And Dakota Masters having her first ever race meeting this weekend. She stepped up from go-karts and she's only 15 years old. The inside of the road, but Zach Hannon, our race leader, still under a bit of pressure here. Just over 3 laps remaining. And now I'll get back to what I was trying to explain on the previous lap. What Liam Hall needs to do is he needs to get this part of the circuit right, not do what he did on the previous lap, make sure that he keeps it on the black stuff, but then he really needs to maximise his exit from turn 14 to be as close as he can to take advantage of the slipstream down the main straight. Here we go. This is about the closest that he's been all race long.
Can he do it? He just has a little bit of a moment, has a look. He's probably going to try and find some fresh air. I think he's covering off as well. No, he covers off too. And number 70, it's on into turn number 1. Have a look at this. He's had to cover him off too as he came up alongside him. Liam Hall had a moment. He's on the outside now. Zach Hannon on the inside in the core staff entry. They go around. If he can hold on to this though, he's got to run into the next corner because he'll be on the inside line. They leave each other enough room out there as well. Great driving from both drivers. Now the right-hander. Will he get the move? Signed off. They come down to turn number 5 under brakes, and there it is. He'll get it done. It's not over yet. To get in front, they leave each other just enough room for 2 Hyundai Excels, but now it's down into turn number 6. Lock in, look at this. No lock up on the brakes there, and he's back in front. Nice drive there from Hannon and Hall.
Great precision driving from both of our race leaders. That was 6 corners in a row that those 2 cars ran side by side and did not exchange a milliliter of pace throughout that entire sequence. So great respect shown between the 2 drivers, and it's Hannon who just manages to maintain the lead. We've got a couple of laps to go here. Bragging rights in this race still well and truly up for grabs, as it's a repeat of what we saw on the previous lap. It's going to be Hall who will have the advantage of the slipstream, and it's going to be Hannon who will move to the inside and take the defensive line on the run down into turn 1.
Well, it's a repeat of last lap, isn't it? Oh, they're so close now. They almost touch bumper bars. And then the outside again, it's going to be Hall. It's a repeat of last lap. They come into turn number 1. Liam Hall on the outside. Zach Hannon on the inside. They leave each other room again. Let's have a look at the exit here. Is there any advantage? It looks almost the same.
Yep, pretty much a carbon copy of what we saw on the previous lap. So once again, it'll be Hall who will have the inside line as they head up to turn number 5. And yet again, they go side by side. Can Hannon maintain some overlap coming out of the corner? I think he's got his nose just alongside the rear quarter panel. Back up the inside, he comes into turn 6. This time though, Hall has done a better job to keep his nose in front, and he'll be well positioned to be on the inside for the next right-hander at turn number 7. It's Liam Hall who goes through to take the lead with just over a lap remaining in this finale for the Excels at Hidden Valley.
Much more difficult to pass through this section of the racetrack in turns 11, 12 and 13 as they dip the car in. Liam Hall now leading our final race in the NT Hyundai Excels.
The problem now for Liam Hall, though, is that he is going to be the one who gives the tow to Zach Hannon, who got a really good exit out of turn number 14, and it's Hannon who comes back down the inside of Liam Hall down the main straight, a drag race between the 2 Excels, and this time it's Hannon who has the momentum and also the preferred line into turn number 1.
It's the final lap here for the NT Hyundai Excels, and it's exciting at the front. These 2 fighting it out. Liam Hall and Zach Hannon. Hannon now taking the lead back in the core staff. Number 70, the back wheels off the ground. It's not even moving. He plants it down out on the grass now for Liam Hall.
Liam Hall tried to hang tough around the outside there, but ultimately just ran out of road on the exit. And it's Hannon who recaptures the lead. What a masterclass it has been from these 2 drivers at the front of the field, demonstrating that it's possible to race in close combat but be clean and fair at the same time. They've got a laps car that they're going to have to negotiate their way past in the final sequence of corners just to add another bit of extra spice to this race. And it's a tricky spot on the circuit that they have caught up to the number 12 car as well, of Aline Ann's Volts. So they go left, so they go right. In the end, they're going to have to go around the outside of Volts there in a rather awkward position on the racetrack. They do so safely, and I reckon that might have given just enough of an advantage to Zach Hannon to get the job done.
Yeah, Liam Hall not close enough to take advantage of any slipstream or exit speed. As he goes wide again, he's right out on the grass. He needs to pull it back before the Armco. He does, so he will maintain that second position as they head down to the checkered flag now. And you'll watch them cross the line. It will be Zach Hannon again wins the race in the number 70, followed by Liam Hall. A commanding lead over the rest of the field. They're almost 19 seconds behind them. So we'll wait for them to come around here, and there it is. 3rd place, Tyson Matiazzo will go through. Oh, in the background, that looks like it might be the number 27. It is of Robert Holloway, so a bit further back down the field. Not Rossi Johnson, who we're waiting to cross the start-finish line and get himself a position in this one. Lachlan Son will finish out in 4th position. Rossi Johnson in 5th, right behind him. Almost got him at the end, didn't quite get close enough, ran out of the laps he needed. We'll check out the Hi-Tec Oils replay now, and this is Robert Holloway there spins himself out of the top-end electrical car, a little bit of curb, unsettles the car, and unfortunately spins it around. Luckily, no other cars out on track around him.
No, so fairly uneventful escape there, thankfully, for the car of Holloway. Noticing there as well that there are some marbles building up off the racing line, so you run out of grip if you venture out there. But Zach Hannon, in a ding-dong battle with Liam Hall, gets the win by 0.7 of a second. Tyson Mahiazzo home for third position, ahead of Lachlan Son, who had another good battle with Rossi Johnson there in the closing stages. Time with Cheney in sixth, back to Matthew Powell, Noel Wallace, Dakota Masters, and Elaine Ans Bolt rounding out your top 10.
Great to see the NT Hyundai Excels out on the track here at Hidden Valley Raceway as part of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. And here we go, the results from the weekend. Zach Hannon with a dominant wins in all the races there and leading us with 200 points, Lachlan. 200 points for the round ahead of Liam Hall and Tyson Mahiazzo. So they will be your overall podium finishes for the weekend. The consistent Lachlan Son finishing in fourth position ahead of Tyler Cheney. And then we go back to Noel Wallace, Matthew Powell, Dakota Masters, Rossi Johnson ends up in ninth after that DNF. And Samantha Hoskins will round out your top 10 when it comes to our points results for the weekend. Let's catch up with our winners down in pit lane with Stephen.
Thanks, Matty. And we've got a resounding winner here, 4 out of 4. Zach Hannon, the local guy, has won the Valley 250. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, feels good. Nice hot racetrack out there, though. But yeah, feels good to win it all.
Obviously, you've been racing these cars for about 3 years. Would this be a pretty satisfying win to be winning at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series round?
Yeah, it feels great to win, especially with the guys that came from down south. I only normally race the people up here, but it feels good to beat some interstaters.
No worries. Good on you, Zach. Thank you very much, and well done. And back to you, Matty, up at the commentary.
Well, he wasn't mucking around. 4 wins from 4 races. Like he said, interstate drivers coming up here and competing with him. He's dominated again. Great result for him as well, for Zach Hannon. We congratulate him on a win here in the Hyundai Excel 250. We're going to take a short break and be back with our HQ Holden Founders Cup final race. Welcome back to the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. TA2 Muscle Car time now. In our previous race, number 5, there was contact made there between Tyler Everingham and Jordan Cox. Jamie, there's some penalties out of this one.
This is the one we were talking about where we couldn't give you any results. And there was that contact initially. So a 5-second penalty first for Jordan Cox for not doing the start correctly. He was actually out of line, out of his start box effectively. 15 seconds for that contact with Tyler Everingham, and then that little spot of post-race contact we saw after the end of race number 4 with Everingham into the back of Cox. That was a 15-second penalty for Tyler Everingham. But this is all on, like, for the points for the round. So it's overall points across all 6 races that will give us the winner for the TA2 King of the North and $20,000. Here is the grid lineup. It is the Thomas Brook combination starting off the pole. The Coulters, what a fantastic effort from them with a second place finish here yesterday to put them out of P2. Gartner and Vidot out of position 3. Formosa and Filippetto go back to Leonard and Wright, McAllister, Mediki, Rice, Everingham, Jackson Hughes from grid position 8, Zach Lochalfo out of grid position 9, a single driver, and Haynes and Bates out of 10.
Then we go into position number 11, Hume and Hackwood will be there. 12th is Cheney and Thornborough, who's been very quick. Hernan Manuel in 13th, Michael Rao on a solo in 14th. Lee Stibbs on his own in 15th, of course. That's another tough one. What I like there is we see Hernan Manuel going to be coming out of 13th, Josh Haynes and Nick Bates out of 10. Now, we saw what they did up the front in their solo races. If we can get them in the car in the final stint, that will be absolutely amazing to see how they fight it out.
We saw most of the, inverted commas, faster guys starting the race yesterday because they started. The other driver now starts this race. So whoever started yesterday finishes the race today. So Paul Manuel will start the number 10 Nathan Hearn machine. So Nathan's going to be in, and you would think they would probably try and leave him depending on the pit stops. Yesterday we saw the majority stop at the same time on a safety car. There were a couple of separations between that, but if they go different strategies and we don't see safety cars, it's going to be really, really interesting to follow.
Yeah, Nick Bates in the car in the first stint as well. So that means Josh Haynes will be in the later stage of the race.
You would expect Nick Bates to probably go forward from where they are starting, certainly, but we'll look for that compulsory driver change and who's going to get in, who's going to get out, but we'll go through the starting drivers for you certainly in this first segment, because we're not going to see anything pit stop wise till at least lap 15, and that is not even the halfway mark of the race.
Now, one of the things I know is Tyler Everingham is going to start this race. We won't see Jordan Cox, so we're not going to see that continuation of what we saw on track at the final part of the last race.
That wasn't planned. That's just what happened from yesterday with some of the driver combinations are very, very close in lap times, and so it didn't really matter for them which one started, which one was going in second yesterday. So we're getting ready to go racing here. This is it. We're creating history here this weekend in Darwin. The first ever TA2 Endurance paired driver race in history anywhere in the world. We are about to go green for 35 laps here at Hidden Valley Raceway. The TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tec, the king of the north. And this is about to explode. Will it be a race of attrition? Who will get to the end and win the $20,000? At the moment, it is the 68 team that is in the box seat as we go green here at Hidden Valley.
Yeah, leading us in, Tim Brook now. He's on the inside line, but following Gardner as well on the 22. Gets to the inside of Coulter, and they get through turn number one there. 2 cars side by side. Oh, 3 cars. That Matty McKeldin on the outside there. He's in the Kubota car there. They'll be trying and claw back some position. This, oh no!
Mick Rowell was just off track, so he just got guided off there off turn number 1. So let's get through this first lap. Tim Brooks certainly one of the quicker guys out there. That combination between him and Dylan Thomas has been very, very competitive out of the weekend. They are the points leaders for the King of the North title at the moment. So, they need to finish up top. There was a little bit of congestion outside of the top 4 there, and you can see them backing up. That's the Leonard Wright Mustang was sort of in there. Someone got a bad run through turn number 6, and look at the gap it's created behind the top 4 cars with that 4th position car, the number 49 of Nicholas Filipino, who's paired with Chris Formosa for the weekend.
I think it was Temps in the background just giving off the white car as well. So wait and see though. Filipetto and of course Chris there doing a fantastic job this weekend at the number 49, and they managed to get themselves the 4th position in the endurance yesterday. Chris Formosa doing a fantastic job, and he'll be coming in the latest, and he's much more comfortable on a degraded tyre as well. So have a big run down here into turn number 1. Looks like Tim Brook is going to hold on over Brad Gardner, but there's plenty of action in the background still happening. That turn number 1 is a very exciting part of the racing here with the TA2 Muscle Cars.
Well, Brad Gardner hasn't had the best of weekends. He got turned around in his previous race as well, which was put down to a racing incident. So they'll be trying to salvage something out of this. Remembering the results of this race, how they cross the line is not 1, 2 and 3 for that King of the North title and the $20,000. It is over all 6 races and both driver combinations. So this is the car to watch right now. They do have a lead, 284 with the number 7 Jackson Rice Ford Mustang second on 245, and then looks like Nathan Hearn and the Castet car back in the 235 mark. So it's pretty competitive, but you've got to give the advantage to the number 68 team right now, and they're pretty comfortable out in front. But boy, we have a long, long way to go, Matt.
35 laps for the TA2 Muscle Car. They're quick around here at Hidden Valley Raceway. We've seen them in the 109s already. Will they go any faster on a fresh set of tyres? I'm sure they've got green rubber on for this final race with 35 laps. We're only on the start of lap number 3, and look at that, Tim Brook doing a nice job out in front. He's been very, very quick. He's aggressive on the car. I think you need to be with these cars as well. Brad Gardner just settled down behind him, and I love seeing Mick Coulter. Is that Mick Rowell?
Mick Rowell off. He was towards the rear of the field, but definitely an off there. See if he can get back on. He's down in the heavy grass, but just trying to get, he should be able to get back out on track. So that's down at turn number 1 as Brook continues to lead. Now, the other factor we've got to take into the equation here, Matt, is this is probably the heaviest these cars have ever run on fuel. To get them home for 35 laps, there is no fuel stop. These cars will be weighing a lot more than they usually do with their fuel loads. So these starting drivers will have to manage that with the tyre situation as well. Something to think about. Sure, the teams have thought about it.
Well, definitely be thinking about that right now. Brett Garner looks like he's just trying to find some clean air to try and keep the temperatures in the car down. Sometimes it's not about leading the race going into the driver change. We'll check out one of our Hi-Tec Oils replays here. Mark Crutcher on the inside. The number 50 car, Andrew Fisher there, driving that solid this weekend after Paul Hadley's had it. But here we go, Michael Rao in the background, the 15. Looks like he's just done that on his own accord, a bit too fast. Maybe missed his braking markers coming into turn 1.
Well, he has raced sprint cars, so he was turning the right direction with a little bit of stagger going on as this race continues, but he managed to get back on track. It did not bring out a safety car. That's the important thing here as we count the laps down for 35, and this race continues here at Hidden Valley. So the majority of the field stopped on lap 15. The advantage of that is they're losing less time with the safety car out there. If the rest of the race goes green, which I don't think it's going to, as we're about to go back racing here, those that haven't pitted, if they do their compulsory pit stop under green, they're going to be compromised if we don't get another safety car.
Well, it's risk versus reward, isn't it? As Tim Brook leads away now. Nathan Hearn back in that car, but he's a lap behind. So we'll wait and see how that one goes. We'll come out in second position there.
Yeah, they're down in 15th. They'll definitely be down a lap.
Already a dive down the inside, and you'll go back and get back on the lead lap. So he's not going to muck around. Nathan Hearn, very experienced racer. He might be young, but he's over in America. He's had to deal with all the mind games over there. He's proven to them what a talent he is, and now he's back here racing at Hidden Valley Raceway. You see some cars in the background just getting out on the grass once again.
The doors open on the number 20 Hargraves Gillison Camaro, and that car's got more race tape on it than the 3M factory. Well, all right, let's just get things settled down here, and I'm not going to say safety cars breed safety cars again. I didn't say it the first time. That was post the safety car. Oh, we got Teb off in the 93. He's only just come out of the pits from his compulsory pit stop, so he was one of the single car entries that took the stop. There's only 3 cars that I can figure out did not take their compulsory pit stop on that lap 15 window opening. The majority of the field certainly did, as we keep an eye on the number 68 Mustang that is your race leader.
Look at the amount of bodywork on the Hargraves car now flapping around on the front. Now race control will be looking at that. If it becomes a dangerous object or starts to fly apart, they may get pulled in. They'll have to race take that one as well.
That's not going to last very long at 250 plus kilometres an hour here on a 1.1 kilometre long main straight here at Hidden Valley Raceway. So a lot of damage on that race car. They've certainly been in the wars right throughout the weekend. They've been chasing electrical issues. They finally got it cured, and it was a fuel injector issue. They've completely changed the entire electrical system, and that car looks like it has been to war. Currently second on track at the moment. So one of only 3 cars that has not pitted. There's your leader. There's second, and in third it's the 21 of Zach LaChalpo. He's done a really good job, very, very good job. But if you have a look through the left-handers, you've got the door swinging, the driver's door swinging open on the 20 as well, so that's probably not ideal. Not as much of a door on these cars.
They may be forced to come in to take that pit stop very shortly because they're going to have to tape down the front of the car, and that door issue is going to have to be fixed. And I'll wait to see what race control have to say about it.
They will not be able to do the repair while they are doing the compulsory pit stop and the driver change. After the 90 seconds, then they can make repairs. So they'll be thinking about the strategy now. I reckon they're swinging on a safety car. Ideally, they'll be swinging on a safety car.
Currently sitting in second in the number 20 local search entry of Hargraves and Gilson. We'll have to wait. It's still going on in the background there. Hayden Jackson looks like alongside. Didn't Jared Hughes do a great job in the opening stint of the race? And
Jared Hughes did an outstanding job in the 81 car, so Jackson's now in the car. Jordan Cox, he will be one to watch. He's trailing some bodywork as well at the back of the floor. He's been in the wars and out of it and cop penalties, and we know he's got the speed. He will be spectacular, and he's up against Josh Haynes. So there's 2 of the young guns, 2 of the quickest guys out there in the midfield at the moment, running in about that 8th and 9th position, having taken their compulsory pit stop, and Cox has gone fastest lap with an 11.2. He is on a charge.
let's head down to the pits though with Steve.
Brooksy's still leading, so we're just holding our strategy.
I guess that we're in a bit of a good position with points coming into the race, so we don't need to go for the win. So I guess it was one of those strategies. We didn't expect everybody to come in. We thought some of the the lead drivers may have stayed out with Brooksy. But, yeah, so I guess we sort of felt like track position was keeping us a bit safer. So although it's probably gone against us a bit more than what we had planned on this one, but if he can run, we assume we'll get another safety car the way that the heat and the drivers are out there. So hopefully another safety car comes in whilst his window's open, and that works and puts us back into a safe spot. But yeah, we're not racing for the win, we're racing for the weekend. So the smartest decision was to try and keep out of trouble, stay at the front, and therefore we're in control of our own destiny.
Thanks, Dylan. Yeah, holding track position is probably important for the leader. The Lee Stibbs car's been in again. It's got some overheating issues that had actually fallen off, and so they've cleared the radiator a couple of times. And we did notice actually a little bit of patch of oil under the number 4 Mark Crutcher car with Jordan Cox. So hopefully we'll just keep an eye on those guys for the remainder of the race. Back to you, Matty.
Well, it might not be Tyler Everingham, though, who's putting it back in, but it is his teammate Jackson Rice now putting the pressure on Jordan Cox, and there is no love lost between these teams here this weekend.
They just swapped some colours across the doors, so yeah, love is fair and war. Now, Dylan was just talking about needing another safety car. They've got 3 laps to do their compulsory pit stop. If they do it under green, it's going to hurt them. It is seriously going to hurt them.
Well, Jordan Cox has just come down the inside now of Jackson Rice, so they are going to go toe-to-toe in this fight as they battle it out as Cox gets the wheel out on the dirt. It's going to be a fight for 7th position. Josh Haynes in front, who was our PWR Pole Award winner this weekend, and he is now right on the back of the 51 car Graham Cheney, who's probably changed out. There's 51's gone through the pit stop now. And
yeah, it'll be Eden Thornborough in the car. Unfortunately, we got told it was Steve Coulter starting the 11, so apologies to the boys there. It was Michael in the car, so... All right, let's calm things down, but let's go back to that compulsory pit stop window closing inside of 3 laps, and if the leader hasn't done it, there's contact, and away goes Stibbs into the tyre wall. He goes.
I don't know if there was actual contact made there.
That was triggered off in that sort of 8th, 9th, 10th area, but Stibbs was actually down a lap having pitted earlier on. And boy, hasn't it gone wrong for the championship leader at the beginning of this weekend in the Aero Financial number 66 Camaro.
Coming into this round as a solo driver, choosing not to have a co-driver for these long stints in the endurance, yes. I'm not quite sure if contact made there with Josh Haynes, who's on the inside. Stibbs may have just gave him a little bit of room, dropped a wheel out on the dirt, which might have brought him unstuck at that point. So hopefully that won't hurt Haynes. That's the biggest thing here for them. They need to try and fight their way back. The Haynes-Bates combination in 5th position at the moment. Down there, and the bonnet is off. He's out of the car there, and our crew are on site. Obviously, the Hugh McAllister car, unfortunately, finished the race a fair bit earlier after coming off down the end in turn number 1. That car's got an issue, but Teb's car is smoking down there at the end of the main straight. It's on the inside in the drag strip area, so it's off the main racing line, and it's behind a wall, so it's in a safe position for all of our crew to fly. As you can see, grabbing the fire extinguisher there as the smoke continues to come out of that car, something just smouldering away in the background.
What we've seen with the cars going on track, with the material getting up underneath the cars with the exhaust systems and the brakes, it's actually under that car that's been catching there, having the fire issues. So I think the safety car call was made because of the fire risk and maybe having to get one of the fire rescue vehicles down there potentially to stop any further damage with that car. So they're still working at it as Aaron's actually just dug a whole heap of grass out of the right front brake intake on that car. Look how much grass is down in front of the car.
I think you're right there, because when they've had the wheels off in previous races, it's right behind the wheel arch. There's a big gap in there. The grass comes up, gets stuck in there. If it's got some temperature off the exhaust or something else in there,
brake rotor temperature on application is probably in that 800 to 900 degree range.
We'll check out the Hi-Tec Oils replay, and here it is. Aaron Tebb takes himself across the grass, and that'll be through the back section there through turns 10 and 11, slides the car around and just collecting all that grass on the way through. You can see it coming off the front splitter of the car. Unfortunate for him, and I hope he misses the orange higher sign. He does as he goes through. Manages to keep it off all that, and that's why we saw him go back down the drag strip. He's tried to keep all that grass off the racing line as well, but every time we see them take an excursion off the track, they're coming into pit lane having to remove that grass because of the temperature reasons.
How's your maths?
All right.
Right, so currently the Thomas Brook number 68 Mustang, who was leading the points for the King of the North title, is in 12th position. Your race leader is, that'll be the 4 of Jordan Cox in the car.
As we're on the final 4 laps of this endurance race to see who's going to be King of the North. Leading us at the moment, of course, is Jordan Cox in the Crusher Developments number 4. He's not going to be able to do enough, I think, to clinch that big $20,000 purse for the win this weekend. Josh Haynes behind him, but it's all eyes on the number 12 with Dylan Thomas and Tim Brook. Thomas now back in the car, and we believe if he can hold that position, he may become the king. He may get the crown.
They've got a 22-point gap at the moment to the 7 car. The 7 car with Jackson Rice at the wheel is currently in the 5th position. All right, so 318 at the moment, plays 296. The 68 car has it covered right now. They can't afford to go backwards. And even if the Rice Everingham 7 got to the front in the next 3 laps as we're about to complete lap number 32, I don't think it'll be enough for them unless the 68 car slides back. And you wouldn't think so based on the pace that we've seen over the weekend. So obviously their strategy, they've had the calculator, they've worked out what they were going to lose doing that stop on the green and who was closest to them in the points.
Well, Rice has just dropped back into 8th position as well. We've seen him going back, and now you can see Dylan Thomas has actually made the pass on him. So he is dropping back through the field. Some issues there with the number 7 Rice Everingham car. I'm not quite sure what's happened. We'll have to try and figure that out. So much action going on track at the moment. Of course, the IES number 51 entry up on our screens. 3rd position at the moment, and Thornborough driving that car as the 2nd driver in the stint, and he's been super fast. The young fella, obviously from the Toyota 86s and other things like that. So we'll wait and see if he can make a move on Josh Haynes. I don't think he's quite close enough at this point of the race, but there's still a few laps left to go. But we need to find out what happened to the number 7 car, because it looks like
they've gone from 5th to 8th.
Thomas.
Dylan
Thomas might be right.
They've definitely lost some spots in that last lap. So your top 3, Jordan Cox. It is the Haynes Bates 37 in 2nd, the Cheney Thornborough 51 in 3rd, followed by Hume and Hackwood. How's that for a result of this final race? Boy, they've had some dramas as well this weekend. They're currently in 4th. Gardner Beddoe in the 5th position. They were running 2nd before that pit stop cycle on the safety cars, so they've lost a little bit of time as well.
Oh no, that's right. Thomas is down a lap. He is actually down a lap in 12th position. So although he's making a lot of places out there, he has to regain that lap. So he has not got past the
still in the 12th position. That's the thing they need to worry about. And he's only 4 spots behind the number 7 anyway. So it is points advantage to the number 68 CXC Mustang. They obviously knew what they were doing. They've had the calculators like we've had them out here in the commentary box, and my brain's frying because it's hot and I can't do maths.
Great to have Eden Thornborough joining us here for this endurance race. As we saw, a lot of the drivers didn't team up with main game drivers. Only Josh Haynes and Nicholas Bates have decided to go with an outside entry, and he's done a fantastic job for Eden Thornborough and Hayden Hume in the background. What a race from them today. Hopefully they can bring that home. Just a couple of laps left to go in this race as they come round and complete another lap. Jordan Cox, look at him in the number 4. It's battered, it's scarred, it's got race tape holding it together, but it's in the lead, and we're on the final lap here for the challenge for the King of the North, TA2 Muscle Cars, brought to you by Hi-Tec Steel Framing.
Jordan Cox will be looking for the win for the race, but it's not going to be enough for the top of the King of the North title with the TA2 Muscle Car Series framed by Hi-Tec. The 68 car back in the 12th position is in the box seat to take the overall win for every race calculated over the weekend on points. And they really have been dominant. Can you say consistently dominant or dominantly consistent?
Yeah, they came out of round number 1, 2 there in 3rd position in the championship too. Not by getting wins, but just being in the top 5 every race. So a great little combination of the CXC Mustang. So we'll see if we're going to crown them King of the North. Jordan Cox coming around. He's halfway through his final lap. He's just got to get through these few corners. Josh Haynes, what a fight back from them. Teamed up with Nicholas Bates this weekend. And Graham Cheney and Ed Thornborough, too, in 3rd position at the moment. They're still going to be happy out winning 35 laps to have come out here. The cars are all scarred up. Oh, no. Zach LaChalpo and the number 21 Tempest Solutions car has stopped, but our winner crossing the finish line, Jordan Cox and Mark Crutcher and the Crutcher Developments Mustang will get the 35 lap endurance race win here this afternoon at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series.
Josh Haynes in 2nd, Eden Thornborough in 3rd. We are waiting for the CXC number 68 to come across the line. They were in 12th at the start of the previous lap. It should be enough for them to win the overall King of the North title by our calculations. I think they'll be pretty comfortable with it. Some big drives through the field. Hume and Hackwood in the 45 Challenger, congratulations to them with a 4th place finish. That is an outstanding result considering they were off track earlier on in the weekend as well. But boy, we talk about drama and what's going on here for a world first for TA2 with driver changes and things like that. That was a pretty decent motor race.
Oh, it was fantastic to watch, and of course to see these young racers. Jordan Cox coming out of TCR, he's well known for his front-wheel drive racing, but hasn't he really impressed in the TA2 Muscle Car? We'd love to see him join the series in one of these. Mark Crutcher giving him an opportunity to join the team, and look, he's going to do the celebration burnout down the back there in front of the crowd here at Hidden Valley Raceway. What a round 2 of the TA2 Muscle Cars, framed by Hi-Tec steel framing, and here we're going back to victory lane, I'm sure, to get this one. I know he may not be the King of the North this weekend, but you've got to take a victory when you get it. The TA2 Muscle Car results from the final race here at Hidden Valley Raceway. Crutcher and Cox will take the win with Haynes and Bates in second, Cheney and Thornborough in third, and then we round them out. It's got Hearn Manuel, Gardner Vidot, Hume Hackwood, McKeldin Zukanovic, Rice Everingham, Leonard Wright, and of course Michael Rowell there showing up in 10th position in the number 15 car.
Andrew Fisher in the 11th spot ahead of the Thomas Brooks 68, and that should be your TA2 King of the North winners. And the 20 of Hargraves and Jellison in 13th, completing the top 15. Zach Lashalpo, although had an off there on that last lap. So what a race, and we think it is going to be the number 68 Mustang taking the TA2 King of the North. 321, there's confirmation there on the screen from the Rice Everingham car on 288. The Hearn Manuel Challenger on 286, tied with the Cheney Thornborough Challenger for 286. We've got a tie for third. Back to Gartner and Vidot, Haynes and Bates in 6th, Leonard and Wright in 7th, followed by Crutcher and Cox, Formosa Filipino, and Jackson and Hughes overall for the inaugural TA2 King of the North, part of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series here at Hidden Valley. Crossing down to Steve on pit lane.
Jordan, fantastic effort, and what a weekend.
Yeah, crazy up here. What a phenomenal track. Darwin's got a fantastic facility here in Hidden Valley, so yeah, super happy to be here. The Trans Am's put on a great show, I think, here. So
yeah, so the TA2 cars, obviously everything that's come in has got a touch or a rub. Obviously a busy race, and obviously kept you and Mark busy during the whole race.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, it's like that. I think that's the spirit of TA2 racing. It's just hardcore stuff. So I love it. Yeah, can't wait to be back if you'll have me.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Well, what a fantastic weekend it's been here at Hidden Valley Raceway. We've had heat, we've had dramas, we've had accidents. It's all been on. All right, we're going to throw down to Matt Kavanagh down on pit lane with our winners for the TA2 King of the North.
Third place today, the number 51, Graham Cheney, Eden Thornbury. Well done. Congratulations. All right.
Well done, mate. I'm going to give this to you both.
Very quickly, we need to go to our second place.
All
right.
Race.
Very quickly, we need to go to our second place. Kate Warden, the NT Minister for Sport. Our runner-up, Jackson Rice, and Tyler Everingham. We'll give you your award, guys. Well done. For the King of the North at $20,000. Can take their didgeridoo. And our winner for the King of the North at $20,000 prize money here for Hi-Tec Oils, round number 2 in the TA2 Muscle Cars, presented by George Gambino. Come forward, $20,000. Dylan Thomas and Tim Brook. Give them their didgeridoo. Well done, gents. Fantastic race. Give them their didgeridoo. Gary Dempsey from the... Well done, gents. Fantastic race. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Gary Dempsey from the NAMS. Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. We'll catch you for round number... All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's been it from Hidden Valley Raceway here, round 2 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. We'll catch you for round number 3 from Queensland Raceway, the 2nd to the 4th of June.
You got to come to Sydney to get...
The FIA Karting Championships have remained in Spain, but have moved from the east to the north on the picturesque Karting Zuera circuit a few miles from the ancient city of Zaragoza. This is the fastest and longest circuit in the karting calendar, and therefore the perfect place to kick off the gearbox season, with the KZ and KZ2 drivers ready for battle. There are many new topics to discuss. More champions than ever before gracing the KZ category, new challengers stepping up from the OK class to KZ2 for the first time, and the third woman ever to race in the premier class of karting. With only freedom to develop chassis and a 5 kilogram minimum weight difference between the two categories, for some drivers, this is the final bastion before the switch to car racing, and for others, this is the pinnacle of the motorsport ladder. Overtaking is brutal, tyre management is critical, and staying focused enough to win is the difference between a contender and a champion. With driving talent and ability comparable to the top stars in Formula 1, IndyCar and Le Mans, to win here, you need to be the best of the best. It doesn't get more intense, more physical, or more demanding. This is where the warriors of the sport reside. Former world champion Pedro Hiltbrand will show us around the circuit, hitting 145 kilometers an hour over the finish line and flat on the throttle through turn 1. Keeping the kart smooth through the square right-hander and utilizing the speed through the left flick, then into a major overtaking spot. Turn 4 is tight and slippery, but perfect it and you move up rapidly. Back on the power and heading for turn 5, which careers to the left and goes on for an age before tightening on the exit and throwing you into the next tight right, which you need a truly smooth exit for, as you could be left vulnerable for the next hairpin. Another prime overtaking spot to the left for the last of the late breakers. Accelerate around the next set of right-handers, the first opens, and then the following 3 apexes combine to eat away at the tyres on the left side of the kart. So tyre management becomes a real mission in the final sector. Calm precision is needed through the double left-handers, and then a committed approach into the right-hander at turn 11 will maintain speed and then bring the power back up to storm through the final bend. At top speeds nearing 160 kilometers an hour, circuits don't come faster than Zuera. KZ has been the gearbox formula in karting since 2007, and the difference between KZ and KZ2 is very small, with KZ2 being only 5 kilograms heavier and with KZ having more freedom to develop new components. Both karts utilise a 6-speed gearbox which can generate 46 to 50 brake horsepower, which may not sound like much until you consider that the driver is only a couple of millimetres off the ground and will regularly experience 2G in the corners. Formula 1 world champion Max Verstappen won both the European and World KZ titles in the 2013 season, and current Formula 1 stars are occasionally seen testing these cars, as they provide the closest experience to a Grand Prix car for physicality, focus and racecraft. Held across only 2 weekends, the European Championship is very hard to win, as mistakes and bad luck are punished severely in equal measure. Indeed, in KZ2, no champion has ever successfully defended a European title, whereas only 2 men, Jorrit Peks and Bas Lammers, have ever done so in KZ. In the awning, the mechanics really earn their pay, and there are just as many components on a KZ racer as you'll find in Grand Prix. And it's the work done behind the scenes that really makes the difference. On track, the racing can be ferocious, and really depends on a good attitude and disciplined approach, as winning here makes you one of the best racing drivers on the planet. In KZ2 in 2022, France was the nation that cleaned up. Tom Loyer showed the world what he could do in the European Championship, as the Leclerc by Lennox racer dominated at both Genk and Cremona, despite the pressure from multiple opponents. His efforts have now been rewarded with both an FIA Championship title and a factory drive at Tony Kart in KZ. In the World Cup at Le Mans, Arthur Carbonell romped to victory on home soil and will now step up to the KZ category as well, giving us 2 new French stars on the premier racing grid in karting. Sodi Kart showed their incredible pace in KZ last year, as first Emilien Denner claimed an emphatic victory at Genk in Belgium. And then in Cremona in Italy, it was his teammate Senna van Wallstein's turn. But thanks to his dedication and consistency, the champion would actually be the Italian driver, Paolo Ippolito of Kart Republic, which meant that there would be several happy faces on the podium. Sodi were back to winning ways again, and Kart Republic claimed their second European gearbox crown. But then came the World Championship at Le Mans, where there could only be one winner. And fittingly, Victor Gustafsson became the new champion of the world ahead of the contest's previous two winners, Noah Milel and Jeremy Iglesias. And with the latter back for more in 2023, who knows what could unfold? "88 competitors entered the weekend in KZ2, but only 36 remained at the start of the final. The general consensus was clear. 2023 looked like the most competitive KZ2 lineup for many years, and with novices as quick as the veterans, it was going to be a tough call. Birolart Racing have come out of the blocks fighting fit, with Christian Bertucca now joined by Daniel Vasile and Freddie Slater, who would share the front row. But Alex Powell and Kian Nakamura-Berta were looking very fast on their gearbox debuts, with wildcard Daniel Mathia hoping to keep Spanish hearts racing to the finish line. The battle for the European title is on. As the field launched away from the grid, it was Slater who beat the poleman Vasile to turn one. Mathia climbed into third position, with Energy Course star Thomas Stolchamanis also having a great debut in P4. But his best would come later around the opening lap, as the Latvian would pull out the overtaking move of the weekend on the first lap of the final, round the outside of Mathia at turn 7, an audacious and sensational piece of driving. It spooked Mathia so much that Matteo Spergel, Alex Powell and Jorge Pescador could also move ahead of the baffled Spaniard. Vasile's experience came in handy on the second lap as he made a bold manoeuvre to overtake Slater and show his young teammate who was boss, for now at least. Pescador picked up the first warning flag of the race, and Samuel Lier found he couldn't pass Michael Paparot as the two ended up on the sidelines. At 1/3's distance, Slater returned to the lead once again as the young Englishman continued his amazing performance in his first FIA weekend in gearbox. Vasile had to work hard to keep Stolchamanis behind him. That was the only invitation Alex Powell required to seize his chance and make a stunning overtake himself, moving the Mercedes F1 Junior into third. Pescador was now looking hungry in fifth, hoping he could give the Calicart squad a positive result in the opening race of the season. But he reckoned without Kian Nakamura-Berta, who was also enjoying his maiden voyage in gearbox. Could he win back-to-back European titles after his OK success last year? Powell had closed right up onto the back bumper of Vasile's Birolart, but the Romanian wasn't going to be an easy driver to pass. However, the boy born in Miami in Florida was clearly ready to take prisoners, and when you leave a gap, Powell will definitely go for the move. Could he catch the leader now? Not everybody was enjoying the final, and for Alex Marigliano, bad luck would rob him of the finish he and the Maranello team deserved, having run all weekend in the top 5. Powell had come into the weekend with a simple objective: learn about the craft of gearbox racing. But now both he and Slater were rookie drivers in sight of victory, so who would be able to outpace the other to clinch the win? Vasile was still third, but Nakamura-Berta had now climbed to fourth, ahead of Stolchamanis and Pescador. On lap 12, Powell saw the best chance he was ever going to be given and snatched the lead of the race away from Freddie Slater. With 7 laps to go, it was now the Jamaicans to lose. Slater's tyres started to drift away, and Nakamura-Berta sensed that Birolart were vulnerable. He moved ahead of Vasile with a clinical move at turn 2, and now it was Prema versus Birolart for the lead and for third. Pescador decided a podium was possible and made reasonable work of Stolchamanis in 5th position. Spergel in the CPB Sport Sodi car was hopeful of doing the same. With only 4 laps remaining, Slater knew that he would have to defend in order to retain second position, as Pescador passed Vasile for 4th. Whilst the Romanian was now struggling, at least he was still in the battle, as Cristian Bertuca's race came to an abrupt halt on turn 5, after what had been a thrilling weekend. The podium certainly was possible for Pescador now, and Nakamura Berta was taken completely by surprise when the Argentine nipped ahead. Slater, however, was now defending for dear life, as the following 6 karts all did what they could to take advantage of the situation. Pescador made a bold attempt to pass Slater for second position, heading into turn 6. But the British driver refused to give way and held on to second. Stolchemanis tried another audacious move around the outside, but this time it wouldn't gain him any positions. Heading into the final lap, and Powell had done enough to pull away, thanks to his speed and his rivals' continued duelling. Pescador had picked up a second warning flag for his urgency. One more, and there would be real trouble. The only man who could really make a move on the final lap was Vasile, and not only did it fail, but it also dropped him behind the Frenchman Mathieu Spergel. Slater was now relatively safe in second, with Pescador resigned to be content with third. But as debuts go, nobody had been as impressive as Powell for quite some years. From 5th to 1st on his debut, having been fastest in group in qualifying 2. It was quite a spectacular performance from Alex Powell, and no doubt his fans back home in both Miami and Jamaica would be both stunned and ecstatic. The racing world would definitely be taking notice, as he has become a very hot property very quickly. Slater and Pescador completed a very happy podium ahead of Nakamura Berta and Spergel. Vasile would hold off Stolchemanis to the flag, whilst the Spanish talents of Daniel Mathieu and Genis Civico would be joined in the top 10 by Jean Nomblo. Jorge Pescador, the importer for Calicart in Spain, gave the Tonini Group a sensational Spanish fiesta in third. With maximum points in the qualifying heats and second in the superheat and final, Freddie Slater is now the championship leader by 6 points. But the winner of the final is Alex Powell, who has just given everybody in karting and world motorsport a massive wake-up call. So there's only one thing left for the drivers to do: get busy with the fizzy.
It was a long race. Had to keep the concentration for all 18 laps, so that was difficult as well. But I mean, I had the karts underneath me to stay consistently, do consistent times, stay consistently in the front, and it was, I mean, it was an amazing race. It was always coming forward, so the trajectory from that aspect was quite good. But I mean, it's a big thanks to all the KR team, because they've been working so hard over the winter. Last year we were European champion in KZ with Paolo Ippolito. So hopefully this year we can try and repeat that feat that he did last year. But I mean, you know, we just need to keep on working hard, doing our best, and if we can go into round 2 in Sarno with a similar result, I think we can be quite happy with that.
We put together, had a really good start, and I knew Vasile was always going to be there, right on me to the start. I knew the start wasn't always my best part, especially with the kart. It was a bit slidey, but then managed to take the lead, and it was quite hard to lead as the wind was massive, and yeah, especially hard track, and there's a lot of corners, so you always got to be on your A game every corner, and this track always bites you when you do make a mistake, and I got overtaken by Alex, and it was fast at that point, and I had a bit of aero wash, I would say, like just as the sides were hot, and it just struggled a bit, and I knew they were right behind me, so I kind of didn't have the option to keep going forward, and I knew second was the best I was kind of going to get, so it was defense mode from there.
Start P8 in the final, push in the first 5 laps is very difficult for me. The chassis is little sliding. After the 6-7 laps, the chassis is perfect and push the maximum. It's very difficult in the medium the race after the little close, Freddy, Nakamura, but for me it's very good position finish the race.
Yeah, we are very happy having 2 rookie drivers in this category. They have showed extreme good speed all through the week. Both of them with the starts and everything, managing the heats very good, also with the tire and everything. Some small mistakes here and there, which is normal. So, but overall they've done a good job, especially then Alex staying calm in the final when it was P4, P5, then keeping everything calm, managing the tyres all the way to the end, and grabbing a great victory in our opinion. So we are all happy.
The Champion of Champions race. Formula One without the money. Whatever you call KZ, there's no doubt that it's high stakes, high pressure and high velocity. Across the qualifying heats, there were 3 different winners from 3 different squads. Tom Loyer from Tony Kart, Senna van Waalstein from Sodi Kart and Danilo Albanese from Kart Republic. But after Loyer had stormed to pole in time qualifying, Van Waalstein had scored pole for the final, ahead of Jeremy Iglesias, with Albanese alongside Emilion Denner in his Sodi. The key factor would be tyre degradation, and nobody knew which team and driver combination could perfect it over 18 laps and 30 kilometres of racing. Time then to find out. As Van Waalstein crept off the line, Iglesias nailed the start and was joined by Denner and the fast-starting Matteo Vigano through the first bend, leaving the rest of the field to do the best they could around the opening lap. Van Waalstein tried every trick in the book to move ahead of Vigano once more, but it wasn't possible for the moment, and now he had Albanese and Lorenzo Camplese in close proximity. Now the drivers needed to settle in, manage tyres, look after brakes, monitor the engine, and pray for Lady Luck to offer a helping hand. After a calm start to the weekend, Vigano had clearly saved his best work for last, as he moved ahead of Denner for second place. That wasn't in the plan for Sodi Kart or Emilion Denner, so he attempted to take the place back immediately, but Vigano was wise to the move. Van Waalstein elected to make a bold move on his teammate Denner, and with such a gamble came such a risky outcome. Fortunately, he made it, and Albanese joined him into 4th position. Denner wasn't happy and was relentlessly seeking a chance to move back into the top 3. But Albanese wasn't budging. Loyer ran out of luck completely as he retired following an incident with Christian Habulin and Teresa Babichkova, who ended her admirable maiden weekend in gearbox in disappointment. It was on the whole a weekend to forget for Parolin, as Francesco Salenta wouldn't see the finish line either, as the Parolin hit trouble on only lap 5. The next man out of the race would be a living legend. Sadly, mechanical problems ended Jorrit Pex's afternoon way too early. It was fast becoming a race of high attrition, as many more would falter before the finish. Denner finally made a successful move past Albanese, and he needed to, with Riccardo Longhi bearing down on both of them. Sadly, the reigning world champion was the next retirement. Victor Gustafsson's European campaign was already virtually over. Then Longhi sent Pulses racing with a huge power slide that became an overtaking move that benefited Camplese more, as he passed both men with lightning reactions. But the two Italians weren't finished, as their battle became irresistible. Albanese made a bold attempt into the first corner, and he was lucky his race didn't end there and then. His teammate and reigning European champion Paolo Ippolito wasn't going to be kind to his teammate, and so the new Italian in KZ would have to defend valiantly. None of this caused an issue for Jeremy Iglesias in the lead, who was set for a perfect start to the 2023 season. In fact, the top 5 looked relatively secure, with Vigano ahead of Van Waalstein, Denner and Camplese. Adrian Renaudin was the next big name to fall, as the new DR driver would walk home after retiring at the first corner. And Felix Arnold would crash out at the end of the second sector too. A tough day for Maranello. The Sodi karts were pushing each other and trading sector times, with both men eager to reach the rostrum after a very tough race weekend. But Iglesias was uncatchable. Denner briefly moved ahead, but Camplese managed to reel in the Sodi kart twins in the closing stages to give them a nasty scare on the final lap, with Denner having to do all the hard work to keep the Tony Kart factory star at bay, which he would eventually fail to accomplish. But the Frenchman in the CRG up front had been fantastic, from lights out to flag down. And Jeremy Iglesias completed a dominant race win with an immaculate and textbook display. CRG now have all the ingredients to add the European crown to their World Championship winning form at Le Mans last year. So at Sarno, expect the boys in orange and black to be hard to beat. Vigano quietly grabbed a smooth second place ahead of Van Waalstein, with Camplese sneaking ahead of Denner on the final lap. Longhi and Albanese were next, ahead of Stan Pex, and two legendary world champions, Lorenzo Travasanuto and Pedro Hiltbrand. It's already a very close race for the European title, and by finishing third, Van Waalstein is ahead by just 2 points. Vigano isn't out of the contest with a valiant second place. And Iglesias has the best chance yet to add a European trophy to his world title accolade of 3 years before. He'll have to clinch it in the same nation as last time, Italy, home territory for CRG. So, no pressure, boys.
Yeah, I was, when I saw the calendar for this year, I said, okay, Zuera is one of my favorite tracks, so I focused to arrive here really prepared and confident with the material and myself. So I was, I think, 100% with everything. Of course, with the big job of CRG and the Galifa. My plan was to start first, so that's what I did. And from the start, I said, okay, now I push and I do the best I can do for every lap. And the material was so fantastic, so even it's more easy like that.
Honestly, compared to last year, this race, we were not so competitive from Thursday and Friday. So this was not the result I expect, honestly. We improved a lot during the weekend from Saturday and this morning. And slowly we were able to coming from the back. And I'm starting from after the P19 of qualifying, I'm very happy of this second place. And also today, Jeremy was for me like too fast. So today was uncatchable. Yeah, it's a track that I like, honestly. And the last time we were quick. It's true. Also, we were different tires, and we will have to work for improve also with these ones that we are using in the FIA race. And for sure, I think we will be more competitive there than here.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the race when you're starting on pole, of course you expect better, especially after all the races we've done so far this week. Every time the start was good. But yeah, just made a mistake on my side, which is a shame for the team and everyone. But I think in the end, Jeremy was too fast to catch. And I tried to catch Vigano, but it was difficult to stay close behind. But yeah, I mean, the material was really good. The engines were really on fire. So yeah, really happy for that. And I'm sorry for the team that we couldn't get a better result. Every race so far this year we had a speed. So this is really confidence for coming into the next race. And I think, yeah, this week as well, we were managing all the races like really good. And yeah, I think we have a big chance to win a championship maybe this year.
Yeah, we had a good pace all weekend, but not enough to think about this result in the final. But after work, step by step, with every details of the chassis, engine, with Khalifa, we find the best way to get this result for the final. And as discussed with Jeremy, everything was perfect with our setup. Probably with the chassis setup was not so difficult to find the right way, but maybe with the carburation was not easy. Every time you need to stay focused and understand what you find after maybe half an hour when you have the heat or the final.
It's been a spectacular start to the season. Alex Powell and Prema Racing have blitzed their way to the victory on their first ever attempt in the KZ2 category. And if they can keep the ball rolling on the team's home circuit in Sarno, the young man from Miami could be one of the youngest ever KZ2 European champions in history. Can the talented team really do it? In KZ, Jeremy Iglesias is back and faster than ever before. Winning his first race since he became world champion in 2020 is the perfect start to the season, as CRG continues to demonstrate how hard work and dedication really pays off. But karting never sleeps, and there's more work to do. Before the gearbox racers even arrive at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, the Academy Trophy begins, and the OK and Junior drivers face their next mission in 5 weeks' time at the Steel Ring at Třineč in the Czech Republic. But as the Jamaican and French flags fly on top of the Zuera podium, the only question that remains is who will triumph next time?